You are not handed power because you want it. You are not given a new life because you dream of it. The universe does not function on the basis of sentiment. It watches, it studies, it tests. Before it alters your reality, it must determine one thing: are you worthy of what you demand? It must know if you have the spine to carry the weight of what you're asking for. Because every elevation comes with consequences: more control, more pressure, more visibility, more enemies, more wealth, more threats. So before the gates open, the universe pushes you to the edge, not to break you, but to measure the depth of your endurance. People believe that asking is enough. They speak affirmations, they visualize victory, they post quotes about success. But what they ignore is the trial, the unspoken law. Before reality bends in your favor, your soul must be stripped down and examined under pressure. You must be left alone, surrounded by uncertainty, deprived of comfort, to see what remains when all illusion is gone. That's the truth. The universe does not test you in moments of clarity. It tests you when the fog is thick, when betrayal cuts deep, when your own mind turns on you. That's when it watches the closest. Not how you speak when things go well, but how you move when nothing makes sense. You think your reality will shift just because you're tired of the old one. No. It shifts when you prove you're capable of withstanding the silence between cause and effect. When you show you're not attached to applause or outcome or validation. When you can act with precision even when it feels like no one's watching. That's when you're being examined, not when you're celebrated, but when you're ignored. Not when doors open, but when everything seems to close at once. You're placed in discomfort to see if you'll crawl back to mediocrity. You're thrown into chaos to see if you'll compromise for peace. The questions aren't verbal, but they are constant. Will you fold? Will you betray your values for convenience? Will you give up your fire for the illusion of safety? The universe records everything. Not in the way men do, with cameras or praise, but in the reactions you give when everything is unstable. It watches the way you endure boredom, setbacks, betrayal, isolation. Because reality is not changed by desire. It is changed by demonstration, by action under pressure, by clarity under stress. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they don't understand the nature of the examination. They expect rewards without rigor. They mistake the delay for denial, but the delay is the filter. It separates the weak from the prepared, the pretenders from the dangerous. You are not being punished. You are being profiled. Every hardship, every moment of doubt, every rejection is a question. Are you who you say you are? Are you who you pretend to be? Do you have the capacity to hold what you ask for? Or will it crush you once it arrives? Because nothing is given. Everything must be proven. Pain is not chaos. Pain is surveillance. It is the unseen eye of the universe examining your structure, studying the cracks in your foundation. Most men flee when it begins, not realizing they are being observed. Every discomfort, every betrayal, every failure is not random. It is strategic. It is placed to reveal the truth, not to others, but to yourself. What do you truly believe in? What do you truly value? Who are you when there is no escape? Pain strips the performance from the man and leaves only the raw blueprint of his character. The universe watches this closely, not your words, not your aspirations, but how you endure what you did not invite. You are not tested in pleasure. You are tested in suffering. When the doors lock, when allies vanish, when your own plans collapse, this is the moment the examination begins. Pain is not an accident. It is intelligence. It isolates you to see if you can command your mind without external rewards. It puts pressure on your instincts to see whether you turn to weakness or discipline. It doesn't care about how impressive your dreams sound in peace. It wants to know how violently you can move in disorder. That is the currency it respects. Every loss is recorded, not for punishment, but for analysis. Every reaction, rage, silence, denial, persistence, is read like scripture. The universe does not operate through sympathy. It operates through observation. The more you scream, the more it sees. The more you remain centered, the more it takes note. And not because silence is noble, but because it indicates control. Pain is a mirror, a recorder, a question that demands no words. It asks, are you sovereign over yourself, or are you owned by your emotions? This is not philosophy. This is war, and the battlefield is internal long before anything external is conquered. Men speak of wanting power, but recoil at pain. They claim to seek greatness, but flinch at resistance. This is the contradiction the universe exposes. Suffering arrives not to destroy, but to unmask. It is not cruelty, it is examination. Your reaction under pressure tells the universe what you are ready for. Whether you endure or fold reveals more than any oath, any goal, any vision. Your life does not change by force. It changes when you are verified, when your behavior under fire confirms you can be trusted with the weight of more. Understand, pain is not the enemy, it is the evaluator. And it is impartial. It does not care about your intentions, only your execution. The greater your vision, the more intense the surveillance, the bigger the transformation, the sharper the blade that cuts through your comfort. It waits in silence, watches you fall, watches you rise, watches you hesitate, watches you keep going. It does not rush. It does not pity. It simply studies. Because before anything is granted, your integrity must be revealed. Delay is not denial. It is deception, and it is deliberate. The universe does not hand over power the moment you ask for it. It disguises your reward behind layers of time, setbacks, and failure. And not to discourage you, but to see if you possess the intelligence to keep moving without visible proof. It withholds success like a seasoned ruler, placing illusions of futility in your path to gauge whether your will is tied to evidence or rooted in conviction. Most men abandon the pursuit when the doors stay closed. They believe rejection is final. They don't realize the delay is the trap, set to reveal who is truly worthy. Nothing of value comes without resistance. But the resistance is often quiet, internal, slow, burning. You will be met with silence after effort, decline after dedication, betrayal after loyalty, and this is not bad luck. This is design. The universe hides the outcome to test the purity of your pursuit. If you move only when progress is visible, you are weak. If you retreat when results do not match expectations, you are disqualified. The prize remains hidden to expose the inconsistency in your character. It is not just what you do, it is how long you can do it without applause. The illusion of failure is one of the sharpest tools used against men who desire transformation. You are made to feel as if your movement is in vain, as if your sacrifices have gone unnoticed, as if you're invisible. But that illusion exists only to measure whether your ambition is rooted in ego or in principle. Do you move for recognition, or do you move because you refuse to remain stagnant? Do you need evidence to justify your action, or are you dangerous enough to operate in complete darkness? Delay is a weapon, and it is wielded against you to see what you will trade for comfort. Will you water down your mission to receive quicker gratification? Will you compromise your methods to feel progress? Will you begin negotiating with mediocrity when excellence takes too long? These are the questions asked in the space between decision and reward. You do not hear them spoken, but you answer them with every action. The longer you are delayed, the more clearly your habits are read. This is not punishment. This is the selection process. A throne is not given to someone who cannot sit still in the absence of glory. The test is endurance without entitlement, to act precisely, think clearly, and commit fully, even when everything around you says give up. That is the requirement, because if you need signs, you are too fragile for the position you seek. If you need applause, you are too dependent to lead. The delay exposes these weaknesses. It's not about time, it's about pressure. It's about whether you can remain loyal to your standard when nothing and no one is validating it. The longer you endure the illusion of failure, the more the universe learns that you are not moved by deception, that you cannot be broken by doubt, that you are capable of holding the reward without being destroyed by it. Resilience is not just a virtue, it is a transaction. You trade your pain, your consistency, your self-control for transformation. The universe does not deal in fantasies, it deals in currency, and the only payment it accepts is your ability to endure without crumbling. Your resilience is the proof of your capacity. It is the signal that says, I can handle more. Without it, your desires remain dreams. You cannot beg reality to change. You must outlast it, outthink it, and force it to recognize you as a worthy contender. There is no other way. Most people believe they are owed something because they've suffered. They confuse endurance with entitlement, but the universe does not care how much pain you felt. It only registers how much you've converted into strength. If your suffering turns into bitterness, you fail. If your setbacks make you weak, you are not ready. But if you use what tried to break you to sharpen your strategy, increase your discipline, and tighten your focus, then you begin to pay the price required for transformation. Resilience is not passive, it is aggressive. It is the quiet refusal to collapse. There is a reason the most dangerous individuals move in silence. They understand that resilience is not loud. It doesn't complain. It doesn't seek pity. It absorbs the hit and recalibrates. It doesn't ask for less pressure. It becomes stronger under it. This is what the universe watches for. Not emotion, not ambition, but composure. Can you remain composed when you're losing? Can you continue your routine when the outcomes make you question it? That is where the truth lies. When the excitement is gone, when the motivation dies, when your vision feels distant and your energy is depleted, can you still execute? Most men fall in love with the result but ignore the currency. They want strength but avoid struggle. They want clarity but shun solitude. They want status but avoid sacrifice. The universe rejects these men. It sees their weakness not in what they ask for, but in what they are unwilling to pay. Resilience is not poetic, it is brutal. It is the ability to absorb uncertainty, betrayal, failure, and boredom without deviating from your mission. That is the cost, and the longer you can pay it, the more your environment begins to shift. Reality doesn't change with emotion. It changes with pressure applied over time. You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you carry it. The ability to suffer well, to remain controlled under chaos, to build when everything is falling apart. That is power. That is what bends reality. Because when nothing external can move you, you become the one who moves everything else. But that power is not free. It is earned through repetition under tension, through silence when others complain, through strategic endurance. Every time you keep going when it makes no sense, you make a payment. And when the price is fully paid, reality obeys. Power is not seized in moments of noise, but in the depth of silence. The final test comes when everything goes quiet. No progress, no recognition, no certainty. It is in that silence that the universe watches with precision. Not when you're seen, not when you're praised, but when your actions echo into a void. It wants to know who you are when no one is clapping, when the audience disappears, when there is no reward in sight. This is the final gatekeeper. Most never pass this point because they believe the absence of feedback means the absence of progress. They mistake silence for failure. They do not understand that silence is the proving ground. The man who can move with no confirmation, who can rise with no encouragement, who can remain unshaken in absolute stillness, this man is rare. He is feared because his power is not reactive. It is generated from within. He is no longer moved by applause or doubt. He operates from principle, not emotion, and this is what makes him dangerous. The universe does not open new paths to the one still begging for signs. It opens for the one who creates motion in stillness, who builds structure in chaos, who commands himself with no external stimulus. This is the moment of separation. When others quit because they can't feel validation, when they reduce their standards to feel progress, the one who endures gains the upper hand, not because of talent, but because of internal command. The quiet phase is a psychological battlefield. You are not fighting others. You are fighting your own doubts, your own impatience, your own hunger for recognition. That fight is far more vicious than any external opponent. To win it is to step into a class few ever reach. Power is earned in these invisible moments, when the work has no witness, when the sacrifice has no audience, when the discipline has no cheer. These are the hours that determine your future authority. If you must be seen to be disciplined, you are a servant to attention. If you must be encouraged to continue, you are owned by the mood of the crowd. But if you can execute with precision while being ignored, dismissed, or underestimated, then you are no longer bound by the world's permission. There is a particular strength that comes from being unseen and still unmovable, to suffer with composure, to strive without applause, to lead with no one to follow you. This is how power is built. Not given, not taught, built. Each moment you persist in the dark, you train yourself to be unstoppable in the light. Each step taken with no recognition sharpens your capacity to act under pressure. And the moment the silence breaks and your strength is finally revealed, it will not be because you waited. It will be because you never stopped. The test was never about how loud you could become, but how long you could endure in silence without compromising the mission. The universe is not random. It is methodical, ruthless, and exact. Before it gives you a new reality, it must know who you are beneath the surface. It must see if you can survive without comfort, act without applause, and remain disciplined without reward. It disguises transformation as failure, masks reward behind delay, and tests your strength through silence. It watches not what you say, but how you suffer, not how you plan, but how you persist, and only when you've proven, through action, through control, through resilience, that you are no longer dependent on the world to move forward, does the world begin to move for you. Because reality does not shift for the weak, the impatient, or the emotional. It bends only for the one who has already become what he seeks, long before anyone sees it.